Good morning, folks, or evening, whichever time you get to watch this. It's morning for me. A beautiful morning, central Oklahoma, and we're back for some testing with that Panzer EGX500 with Winchester 1-ounce rifled slugs. Now, I mentioned in the previous video there were some issues with these slugs. I fired a bunch of 3-inch Magnum shot shells, steel, BB, number 2 shot steel, 3-inch mags, high brass stuff. This gun eats them like candy. But it had an issue yesterday when I was sighting in the optic on this weapon for slugs for deer hunting. And the issue was this. You stick a 5-round mag in it, charge the weapon, put the dot on the target, pull the trigger, weapon would go off, weapon would eject the empty, cycle in a fresh one, but the trigger was dead stick. Now, the first couple times it happened, I thought, what the hell is going on? I came to realize this weapon is short cycling just enough that it will kick the empty, feed a new one, but the bolt is not cycling rearward far enough, and it's got to be just by millimeters to put the hammer back in its cocked position. Now, I took a look in there last night, and it's basically like you took the fire control group for an AR and put the trigger portion at the front and the sear and hammer at the back, and they're connected by a linkage, and that linkage is fine. It's held for stout, and there's no binds, there's no hiccups in it, anything like that, so it's got to be what's happening. Now, to think about why this might be happening, okay, a little bit of history. Years ago, when I would hunt deer with a shotgun, I was using 1-ounce Winchester rifled slugs, and I was running them through a semi-automatic Remington 1148 semi-auto 12-gauge shotgun that is recoil operated. I never had an issue with those slugs in that particular weapon. Later on, as I became an adult, and the shotguns that I use primarily for either hunting or for work were Remington 870s, because, man, hard to beat the reliability of an 870. Now, all you people that love Ithaca 37s or Model 12s or Mossbergs, they're fine guns. I just preferred the Remington 870, and I won't go into any further than that. But obviously, with a pump action shotgun, you never have a cycling issue if it's working right. But when I started hunting birds with a semi-auto Remington 1100, and I thought maybe I would buy a short slug barrel and put it on the weapon and use slugs for deer hunting for close-in stuff that I was doing, I would encounter, very seldom, but I would encounter issues with short cycling on a Remington 1100, even though you could adjust the gas and set it for heavy or light loads. I never really could get it to run 10 rounds reliably of slugs, either way. So, always just carried slugs in my pump action 870. Fine. Now, my Rock Island Arms VR80, it cycled slugs reliably. And you'd just use the regular collar. You could use the other collar that switches to high velocity, and it would still cycle reliably. But that weapon's design, its gas system, and its buffering system is different than the system on this. The only spring in that VR80 for recoil operation is in the tube, just like on an AR, with a buffer. This weapon, however, has a coil spring around the magazine, or around the barrel, and it has an adjustable gas system and collar and a bunch of other gewgaws up there with it that make it a somewhat more complex system. Now, the book on this says that you can utilize charge weights, and when I say weight, I'm talking about the weight of the shot or the projectile, from 1 ounce to 1 3/4 ounce. Well, a Winchester rifled slug in 1 ounce is at the very bottom of the appropriate or recommended weight of the projectile or shot charge, and it says you can utilize rounds that have a velocity listed up to 1,600 feet per second. Well, on the box itself, they rate those Winchester slugs at 1,600 feet per second. Now, that may or may not be so. A lot of times, depending on what test barrel is used and what chronograph is used and what lot of ammunition is used, you can get varying numbers. So I can't help but think that the issue for this very infinitesimally small distance of short cycling is probably related to the fact that this slug, being 1 ounce, is at the very bottom of the recommended weights for use, and its listed or published muzzle velocity is at the very top. And so this may be causing a type of anomaly in the recoil system. Now, you have to pull that gas adjustment knob out to the heavy load, because it says in the book something with a muzzle velocity listed as that fast. You're going to have to do that. So what I'm going to do is, first thing first, I've got a 5-round magazine of some Federal steel BB 3-inch mag, and we're just going to run it through here on that heavy setting and show that the weapon is cycling reliably with heavy, high velocity loads. And those loads are 1 1/8 ounce, which is the most common load for just about any shot, unless you're shooting like Winchester AA trap light or something, where you've got a 7/8, or when it, yeah, that might be a little iffy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this weapon set up. I've got the 5 rounds of the heavy 3-inch mag in there already, and we're just going to set the camera on me. We're going to run 5 to show reliability. Now down there in the impact area, I've got a target set up. This weapon, I got it sighted in yesterday for the slugs at 45 yards. You say, well, that's pretty close. You're damn right, because I can't count the number of deer I've shot at 25 feet with high-powered rifles, because I didn't have anything else. So, yeah, this is my short distance, enclosed area blind weapon. So, I've got it set down there, and right now, we're at 30 yards. So, well, actually about probably 26 by the marker. So, what I'm doing is I'm testing to see if there's any shift in the point of impact from its original 45 yard zero. So I've got a splatter shot target down there set up, and first we're just going to put the camera on me. We're going to keep it where it's at. I'm going to run those 5 rounds of 3-inch mag steel BB. Then I'm going to put in a 5-round mag of the Winchester 1 ounce rifled slugs. Keep the camera on me, and we're going to show in real time whether these function or don't function. Now, I did something this morning that may make a difference. I went ahead and pulled that forearm off. I got some of the factory goopy grease oil that was on it off, and I put some zero friction lube on there. Who knows, that might make a difference. It might not, I don't know. The weapon does have over 100 rounds to it now, so it needs a good cleaning. It's a nasty bastard inside that receiver, I'm not lying. I had that shit all over my hands, and I didn't really get into it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and run those 5 real quick, see what happens. Stand by. All right. Yeehaw. Steel BB 3-inch mag. Let's check them out. Heavy load. And they are set for a velocity of 1450. You can feel them bad boys. All right, stand by. Let's do some slugs. What do you say? That's gas coming from inside that weapon. Even though I'm holding it forward, you get some gas, baby. Alrighty. 5 rounds. Winchester rifle slugs, 1600 feet per second. Gas setting is on HV. Like I said, we're not worried about accuracy, but I am going to shoot at that target just to check my sight picture. Point of impact difference, if there is any. Alright, let's see what we get. Alright, not bad. Not bad. I can see the hole. Alright, so I've got an empty hole over there. We haven't moved. And hear that? That's a dead stick. Now, you say, damn, Brad, you got an empty hole over there. Do you have a new round in the chamber? And I'm going to say, yep. So I have a new round in the chamber. But I do not have a weapon that was cocked. Till then, all I had to do was cycle that shell out and it moved that bolt far enough. So this weapon can pick up a new round and put it in there without traveling back far enough to cock that hammer back in place. You heard it click. So on this shot, we're going to use this method. I'm going to fire and hold that trigger down. Then I'm going to let it forward obviously after the weapon is fired, and you should hear this, a click. I don't know if the microphone picked it up or not, but I'm not hearing that after these shots. So that's how it ought to operate. Let's see what we get. I'll go ahead and just throw that one in there. Put the magazine back in place. It's in there solid. All right, let's get us another round on the target. All right, listen for a click. There's a click. So we should get another round. Listen for the click. There's a click. Do we get a click? We're getting clicks. And that should be empty. Alright. So, what's the takeaway from this? Well, it gets even more interesting because making a conscious decision to hold that trigger back is making a difference. Really? God. So, stand by. Let's get another 5 rounds and see if we can recreate the system. This is my last 5 rounds. I ain't shooting a lot of slugs. These things ain't no joke. Stand by. Alrighty. 5 rounds rifle slug. And we're going to use that same methodology. Do we get a click? No click, dead stick. Okay, now that's with a magazine that has 3 rounds left in it. One just went up in there. Or should have. Let's check it. Yep. Got a good one. So it would appear, this is weirdness, that maybe it's not so much an issue of holding the trigger back as it is an issue of if there's enough spring tension against loads up against that carriage that the bolt is riding on, it can cause this issue. 4 slugs in the magazine. We're going to feed one in. That's going to leave 3 sitting in there. Let's see what happens. Holding it down. Do we get a click? Got a click. Awesome. Now that was a magazine that had 3 rounds in it. Let's try again. Holding down. Do I get a click? I'm getting clicked. Holding down. Do I get a click? I get a click. And that's out. So, it would seem to me that any other shot shell, any other heavy load, anything with a load beyond 1 ounce, you can run them willy-nilly, and you don't have to worry about making a conscious effort to really hold that trigger back when the weapon goes off. But with slugs, you better, because you're going to have a dead stick. So this is pretty tricky. This is kind of like, maybe we ought to look into this a little more, Brad. And yeah, if I can get some different slugs, I'll find out exactly what's going on. So, that'd be enough of that. What did we learn? Well, we learned that if you will make a conscious effort to really push back on that trigger when it breaks, really kind of strengthen your trigger finger up, that the weapon will cycle and things will lock. But if you're just touching it and the weapon goes off and it recoils away from your finger, things aren't locking up like they should. And to me, that's kind of, I don't like that. I mean, it's doable. I just showed you can reliably cycle those slugs. But, damn, you have to think about it. You literally have to think about it. Because you gotta bring that trigger back there and hold her there while that weapon recoils. And that's all happening in an instant. Man, what a pain in the ass, huh? But it is doing its thing. Hell, who knows? Maybe the fact that I lubed her up real good up front is having an effect. But you saw it in real time. It would do it and not do it. If I put a concerted effort and actual honest, then it would change things. So take it for what it is. It is what it is, and I hate that saying, but nowadays it seems to be more apropos to everything, especially in weapons. So anyway, that's it for today's testing. Short and sweet. You guys, thank you for coming out. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for dropping them comments, and I sure hope like hell I turned the camera on before I fired $15 worth of ammo. You guys have a great day. Come back and see me, and I'll be seeing you real soon somewhere down range. Bye.